Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, or the next bit we're going to do rather, for this floor pan is we're going to fix up some of the holes that we have within our structures. For example, banging my finger in, we've got holes along here. Where's my finger gone? So we've got holes here, here, maybe a bit more. So we're going to clean this up and weld this first. We're then going to start around here and we'll get this sorted. So get this flange sorted out. We might pick up this flange here as well. So we're going to start by doing that just so that we're fixing to good metal, and then we will start looking at fettling a bit more and seeing if we can get a better fit. Right, before I go any further, two fixes I want to do. So the first is this lip here I cut off a bit by accident when I was taking out the floor pan, so I'm going to extend that back out. And then the second is here, in getting the cross bracing out, I cut into that. So we're going to fix a piece on to the transmission support, and we're going to cut out and replace that. That's what we're going to do next. So we have those two bits welded up now and ground down. So I'm quite pleased with both of those pieces of work, to be honest. I've got the right curve and the lip in there for the transmission tunnel. I've cleaned it up a bit inside as well. I might put some paint on the inside there before I stop for the day. So that's looking pretty good, I think. Or at least I'm happy with it. And then if I just go up a bit. And here again, new patch welded in place and ground down. When I get the rest of the sill out, I'll actually weld that piece from the back as well, because there are a couple of pinholes that I can see if I shine light through there. But if I try to weld it and then grind it down again, I just get the pinhole back. So I'm going to attack it from the other side, which will be fine. So we've done that. We'll stop now for today, I think, and might come out and do some more, but if I just do a little bit, I get on better. So there we are. Yeah, good progress. So I put a jack underneath this to try to push the floor pan up a little bit, and it's actually caused this to pop off, so that's not great. So we're going to weld that back in place just to hold it there, taking the jack back down. We've got three places, I guess, when it's this here. This flange is actually touching on this side, it's just this one that isn't. And I think what I need to do really is I need to bend this flange down, and I think that's where I've gone wrong on both sides, is I have the flange at 90 degrees and it shouldn't quite be. So I've got three places where it's not really fitting. One is here, and I need to get the floor pan to flatten out a bit, and the only way I can think to do that is to cut a relief in here. That'll then let me flatten this down, which is I think what I need to do here. Okay, so I'm going to cut a relief just along here. I can then weld up any hole. Now, I've then got here, my floor pan is leaving a gap, so it's not curving up as quickly, so I'm going to cut a relief here as well, so I think I'm going to cut a relief there, so that I can make that curve up a little bit more. and then I got the same here as well. So on this corner, so on both sides, it doesn't seem to come up quite as fast. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm still a bit worried about this, to be honest. But no, actually, if that were flat, so I just think this should be touching. Well, what I might do is I might weld a supporting bracket in underneath this or something, just thicken up that metal a bit. But the first thing we're going to do is those 3 relief cuts. So one here, I'm not sure about this one, and one here. And I will then go from there. It is Saturday, the 29th of May. I haven't been out much over the last couple of weeks for various reasons, and when I have been out I haven't really filmed, so I'm not sure where I am in terms of the filming. So this might be a bit of a recap, and it might not, but we've fitted in the panel with clamps, so we've got a fairly good tight fit here now, which is okay. Along here the panel's overlapping, and then I've got, well, you can see I can get my fingers in here, so I need to bend this up a bit more, and I think we can possibly see there's a bit of a gap in there, so I've got to bend that up a little bit more, which I shall, when I take it off next, I shall do. Then if we go underneath, so this is from the rear wheel looking forward, and in here we've got a gap between the flange from here and the new panel. So I did a relief cut just here, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that out along here. That way I can then pull this panel in so that it matches the flange, work out where it all overlaps, and cut out the excess and then weld it together so that I get a good fit there. Along the flange up the top here I have fixed all of that. I've fixed this flange, and I've got a decent fitting along the back there. Okay, so we'll just wander around to the other side so we can see it from the other side. Okay, so from here we can see that we've got quite a big gap in here, so when I cut it I overcut it, which is disappointing because I did that really carefully. But there we are. So we will look to trim this bit off here of the panel. We'll look to bend it up a bit better so we get a tighter fit along there, so that we can weld along here. And I'm trying to decide, I guess, whether or not I want to bend it up first or weld it in and force the bend as I weld it, and I might go for that actually. If I'm welding it from this side I should be able to do that. Not quite sure. So that's just a recap of where we are. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do that relief cut that I talked about on the other side to try to make that bottom corner fit, and work from there. I have drilled out holes. I have ground it down to get rid of whatever's on there, and I've given it a, not all of it, but certainly where I'm going to be welding, a coat of welded through primer. Done that on both sides. I've done it on the car. I'm going to fit it now, and I'm going to weld the spot welds, well, the plug welds around here. What I haven't done is I haven't cut this down yet, or a piece for there, because what I'm going to do, I've decided I'm going to do that once I've got it on the car and weld it together like that. And I'm going to have to do something about the bracket that comes down onto here, so I've drilled the holes. I think the bracket, which the seat sits on, so I've drilled these holes, and I think I can weld this one into place, but this one is a little bit high, and so I think I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to do it once it's on the car again. So we're going to fix this in place and weld it, and then we'll come back and have another look. Okay, so it's spotted in place. Clearly those welds need grinding down and possibly doing a bit more on, but it's firm here. Okay, it's also pretty good. I haven't obviously done along here yet, which I'm going to do possibly tomorrow now. So I fitted it in place, and I started by welding along the sill. And so if we have a look at the sill here, okay, so we can see along the sill and the spot welds. And then I went and did the front, which I've already shown you. Then I started working along the back here, and when I got around here I discovered that I didn't have it lined up in exactly the same place, and actually I was only getting half of the metal behind, which is somewhat frustrating, and I guess a sign of tiredness. So we're going to probably stop for today. We will grind it back next, and we will, as it was done before with the weld on the inside and along the back, we will repeat that. So that's in, which I guess I'm finally quite pleased with. What we haven't done is done any test on it, so let's do that live. If I stand on it, oh, there we go. So that's all my weight on 1 foot on it, and it's holding. So good, I'm pleased with that. I think I could have done a better job, still learning, but you know, it's coming, and to actually get that in place is quite nice. So what we will do is we will per weld all the way along the inside here, and we'll do the same underneath, I think, along the back to make sure it's nice and firm. We'll grind everything down, and then we'll come along here, and we've got to get this bit sorted, but we haven't done that yet. So it feels like progress there. We've started welding, well, we've ground back these welds up here anyway. We've started welding in across here, as far as here, and we've started, I can't really, because this is in the way, I can't really get to finish off those, grind them back, and then I still need to add a bit of metal here, which I haven't done. Other side is also not going back quite as far. I'm not too worried about grinding it completely flat on the other side. That's coming. So I've got to think about this now and what I'm going to do, because you know, even here it's quite narrow, but it comes to just well, yeah, I can probably weld a bit more further along, and maybe that's what I'll do first, is see how far along I can get, filling up the gap, and then possibly cut a bit out of here so that actually I've got a bigger piece to put in. something this narrow is going to be quite difficult. But I haven't quite decided yet what I'll do. So, but we're making progress. What I did in the end was welded a piece across the top that slightly overlapped on the inside. I then did a lap weld, so welded on the inside and I've welded on the outside. It's hard to dress it at the moment, so I'm actually going to leave that. And I do still have a few pinholes in there, but again I'm going to leave that because it's all in place now. And to be honest, once I've got the front in, and then I want to take everything out, you know, the front panel on, and then actually get the engine out and everything, and then deal with this a bit more methodically than I have been. So we're going to leave the kind of finishing it off and prettying it for now. I'm pretty pleased with it all in general, although I'm not very happy with what I've done here actually, and the fact that I welded over, you know, I did a much nicer job here, and I should have done the same here, so needs dressing still. With this I can weld in, but I haven't done yet. This other side, so this side will weld in, it's touching, I just need to bend this bit down a bit, but this other side isn't reaching, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the flange. Again, I'm not going to do it just yet, but I'm going to cut off the flange. I'm going to build a piece on that goes all the way down to the pan, because I can fit my fingers in there, certainly at the front, so the pan is a slightly different shape. I'm going to fit a piece into the pan. I will then weld on a flange, and I will then spot weld from below, or plug weld from below. So we're going to stop the episode there. The next episode is going to be looking at this inner sill. Okay, so I've actually had to cut it away here to weld in the floor pan. So we're going to look at cutting this off along here and up here and fixing that. Okay, so this is all part of the inner sill, and the inner sill comes down and then goes around the floor pan like that. So this bit is a bit that folds around, there's a bit over here that folds around and a bit here, but most of it's rusted off. So I need, so I haven't got that in most places, and it folds around and then this welds onto it. Well, I think what I'm going to do probably is I'm going to cut across here. I'm then just going to bring this down and underneath to fix on. So that will, this bit along here isn't too bad. The bit that worries me is around here and how it all fits with the wheel arch and this inner sill in here and the inner wheel arch, because I don't really know. But I think what we might be having to do is, I'll have a look at the other side actually, but what we might be having to do if we cut this off is build a bit around here and down here, so cutting out this bit of the inner sill and then cutting out this and going down and underneath. Daunting. But we'll look at that in the next one. Yeah, so I think, so this must be, maybe that's in a wheel arch or something, I'm not sure. But this clearly welds onto here, so we might have to fix some of this. So that's part of this inner bit, so we might have to fix this from the inner point of view first, and that's rusty all the way up here. and then having fixed that, we can then bring that piece, because that comes in like that, so it's just a straight piece that fits in there. Okay, yeah, and that's what we're going to have to do, is thing like that. It's going to be challenging. So inner wheel, inner sill next. Right, so I think that episode is probably quite disjointed. It's taken me a long time, and so apologies for that. But and there's been various things, and that's, you know, it's just nothing could be done about it. But I hope you still enjoyed it, and I will try to get out a bit more going forward. And you know, have a great summer. See you next week, hopefully.